Hey there, it's Kevin with the Rogue Deck Builder here with this week's episode of the Market Monday on a Tuesday. So I was going to talk about Standard, Pioneer, and Modern and the resurgence of the one versus one formats. I think it will make a good discussion for another day, but I'm going to keep this video kind of short and sweet and show you my strategy for picking cards that I think are good buys. I do a video series over at the Rogue Market, which is my other channel that was inspired by this video series I've been doing over here for years, where I go deeper into the Magic the Gathering finance and sometimes delve into other things like Pokemon and Flesh and Blood and whatnot. So I do a video series called The Daily Delve. I haven't done it for a while, but I'm going to start reviving it. I'm going to actually pick this card for tomorrow, and I'm going to give you the reasons why I like it. For a card to go up. And I'm going to show you the research behind before I make a video when I start picking a card. So, of course, one of the very first things to do is to go to places like MTG Price or MTG Goldfish or MTG Stocks, anything that shows any sort of movers and shakers. Goldfish is kind of my go-to because it does have this cards, movers, and shakers where you can click on it and it will show you everything in Standard that is going up and some of the interests and stuff. So, of course, this is a good way to find cards, but unfortunately it doesn't show like specifically Commander. Oftentimes daily prices aren't that relevant because you can have some anomalies with things that go up and down per day. I mean, the weekly change gives you a little bit better of an idea, but still I don't think it's the greatest way for researching cards that have potential of going up. So the metric that I love right now is TCG Players added this market price points, or this price points thing here, which is really cool because it gives you a lot of data to work off of. So this is the card that I'm going to pick for tomorrow. It's called the Valley Rotcaller. This is just the most casual of casual cards. It doesn't see any competitive play. If you go back over to MG Goldfish, another thing what I like about it is it gives you all the statistics of what it's been using as far as deck lists that are submitted to MG Goldfish. So there are users that submit decks to MG Goldfish. There are tournaments they scrape data from, and it gives you an all-around feel of like a card and how much it does see play. And it's a great little baseline to look at particular cards. So with this one not seeing any standard play and only commander play, of course it's not going to draw any arrows to it right now. However, you can look at Chatterfing Squirrel General. There's actually another website that's really cool that we can look at called EDH Rec. EDH Rec will... that did not show EDH Rec. EDH Rec will also show you top commanders. So you go over here to top commanders, and you can actually do it by past month. Goldfish can do this too, past week, past month. And I believe Chatterfing, Chatterfing's on here for the 7th most played deck in the week, and in also 7th most played deck in the month. And I believe if you even go back in the 2 years, it's not too far down. Yes, the 19th most played deck ever. So typically if you go the past 2 years and you find a card that is relatively new and is at its what we call draft height, or its sealed opening height, when people are still excited about Bloomburrow, there's never going to be more supply for a Bloomburrow card than now. I mean, of course there'll be cards that are trickling in, but if for a high demand card, this is going to be basically the height of the supply that's available on the market. So if you can find a card that is being played in Commander consistently in a number of decks, and this Valley Rotcaller actually does have a lot of ability to be seen playing more than just squirrel decks, like rat decks, lizard decks, bat decks could also utilize this card. It does have a lot of potential for future Commander decks to go into. So I'm not quite sure. I don't think this one was in the Commander deck. It could have been. That could add some more supply. However, like I said, the metric that is the best thing to go off of now is this TCG player quantity that is currently available, and all the data here that they show right on TCG Player. So if we come over here to these price points, 760 are in stock, 338 sellers. So this actually gives me an idea there's not a lot of people with multiples. This is a card that will be purchased mainly in one-ofs because it doesn't see a play outside of Commander. So people will typically purchase these in one-ofs. So that isn't something like if this was a competitive card and only saw 338 sellers and a quantity of 760, then it's going to get stripped away quite quick because of just the available sellers is actually quite low versus the amount there. And so a lot of them will be bought out. I mean, actually, it could be a little more stubborn with some of these cards because it's hard to make a cart But again, these should be stripped away quite easily with just 760. What I love is it gives you this 3 month snapshot of how much have been sold. And right now, 3,489 have been sold in the last 3 months. And in fact, this doesn't even go back 3 months, July, August, I guess so, about then, of when Bloomberg was released. And so that is quite a substantial amount of cards. If you actually look at the average daily sold, this is something that gives you a better idea of where it's going. And then you can back up the data to see, okay, is this trending upward or trending downward? Is the average daily going down or going up? And as you can see, we're on a full page of cards that were sold today. So if we add these up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25, 28. So it's steady. It's around steady that average daily sold of 38. So if you do some simple math, that 768 will be basically bought out within 2 months. So if you look at the price point of it, and it's now at its almost its lowest, it's had a little bit of a price increase from its lowest, then obviously under the current state of this card being sold, there's nowhere for this card to go up in price. Now again, this is just using like a relatively low cost card. Oftentimes I don't like to target cards like these to begin with because they don't have a lot of potential. Like what's the potential of this card of going up to $2.50 to $5 possibly. And then if you do try to invest a lot in a card like this, then you're going to eat a lot of the cost of then trying to find buyers for this particular card. And what makes this even more miserable is being a commander card, these are going to be sold very, very slowly. So I think that if you are going to go in this strategy for these particular cards, that you have to have like an end game of how you're going to get these out to buyers before it inevitably gets reprinted. And that's why I like competitive cards a little bit more, because the trends of when they're going to be hot are also crystal clear. And when a market is ravenous for a card like a rotation or an upcoming tournament, then it's actually easy to unload them to buy lists and to people looking for copies. However, we do have these wonderful things called buy lists, which is another thing that then I go and check to see exactly how well this card is faring in other markets. So Card Kingdom is one of the buyers that actually has the lowest spread. They are very, very aggressive on buy lists. And if you go over to Card Kingdom, one of the things you have to be aware of is this max quantity they're willing to buy. This actually gauges, because Card Kingdom is run algorithmically, if that's a word, is however many they're selling per day. They kind of compare that to how much they have in their supply. And this is how they come up with this max quantity they're willing to buy. So Card Kingdom is absolutely bullish on this card. They are willing to buy 242 of these copies of the Valley Rotcallers at 160. And if you look at the spread again between 235 and 160, that is a razor tight spread. So these are the cards that I absolutely love to look at that I know are going to go up in price. And so this is basically the fastest. There are other ways that then you can compare with like I said, go deeper dive into deck lists and tournament results and stuff to find stuff. But this is kind of my go-to tried, tested, and true method right now. So if I was a betting man, I think the Valley Rotcaller is due in the next couple of months to have a significant price increase. One of the last things I do is you can see that you saw this race at the bottom. You have so many cards within that $2.35 to $3 range, and just pages of it. And these will all so it's not going to draw any, again, there's not going to be a big a spotlight on this card of when they start to sell and sell and sell. It'll slightly go up by pennies with 40 sold, 100 sold, before we really start getting close to this quantity of 70, 65 evaporating. Because this was a typical race to the bottom of when this set came out. Everyone started listing, so they undercut the next person, and that person undercuts that person, that undercuts that person. You can see it right here. This person put it up for 338, so this person put up for 337. You can basically see a timeline of when these cards were entered and this race to the bottom. Well, that unwinds pretty quickly when a card is in a lot of demand, and that's where we're going to see that eventually you'll get to this point where everything at that price will be purchased up, and then there will be like a big jump to like $4 or $5. And that sometimes, like as we can see right now, it's only a couple pages before we're into the $5 of this card. And it's, well, I guess we're now on the last page and we're still at the $3, so I'm eating my words there. But eventually, like I said, if we just take this trajectory of how many are being sold per day, it's not going to take a lot of time before this particular card. So this is kind of take another card. So this is another card I've been watching, this Sun Cleanser, because Sun Cleanser is seeing a ton of play in sideboards for Modern, and this is another one that just drew interest that I don't think it's going to be able to hold its $10 price tag. Now it already has gone through the roof here. It was a unknown card. No one was playing it for sideboards. Then energy decks became very, very popular, and people figured out this tech for Modern. And of course, it had a massive price increase from 50 cents to $10. Well, does this card actually have more room to go? Now, 2019 is a very interesting set because it does have a lot of supply in the scope of things. This is still kind of the height of Magic, but it doesn't have like collector boosters, so it doesn't have the same amount of. 2020 was the first collector boosters, I believe. Yeah, so this is right before it, and so there is basically just this version of this card, which makes actually sales data a lot easier to track for this one to see where it's going. And so we do the same sort of method here with TCG Player, and you can kind of see when this sucker is going to go out. So it's got 575, so a little bit higher quantity, but you can actually look at this daily sold as 42. So there's 42 that are sold per day of the Sun Cleanser. It seems to be selling. Looks like it's cooled down a bit. I mean, it looks like 20 or so have been sold today, and so it did have that initial burst right here in the I'm sure in the last, when they were super cheap, I'm sure there were some massive buyouts and stuff. But you can kind of see the same thing with where the price of this card eventually will evaporate out of that just in a few days, and where it will be. So it seems like it's stubborn at this $10 price tag, and that might be the real world value. But if you have any faith in Modern, and that's another thing, like looking at results for Modern, if the meta doesn't change, it is roughly just 12 days before the demand will actually outstretch the supply for this sucker. And then you can go over the same methods, go over to Card Kingdom, and see exactly how out of stock here, see exactly how bullish they are. They want 157 of them at $7, so it's not quite the spread as the last one. There's a little bit of more room there, and so again, it's not. I think the rat or the squirrel will actually start to go up in price before Sun Cleanser, but it's worth taking another look at this particular card. So that's kind of my day-to-day, what I kind of do with Goldfish. And there's other sites too, like I said, MG Price, MG Stocks. There's like Quiet Speculation. There's a lot of if I've missed any, you can comment in the comment section below of kind of your go-to sites you go to check card prices. Now again, this is something that you have to have a particular personality for, and I highly discourage doing quick flips with these particular, like just Magic singles, because if you don't have an outlet, if you don't have a place to sell, if you haven't kind of figured that out, you will actually get killed by fees. So what I like to direct people on this channel is be the power trader at your local game store. Kind of get ahead of trends, and you can actually make I've always said that the rogue market was more focused on people that want to manage their collections and subsidize their hobby by not, having trade value to be able to trade for cards that they need. And this was kind of my bread and butter back in the day when I started this channel of like looking for cards. I remember made a killing on like Restoration Angels, Hell Riders. I'm trying to think clear back in the day, Birthing Pods, because I was able to get ahead of the trends. And obviously it's like I wasn't some savant that was like predicting the metagame switch. It was usually there is a delay before cards go up in value when you start to see the demand hit these cards, and there's still ample supply, and that supply is not going to budge. In fact, like we saw with the rat, it can continue to still go down even though there is a lot of people purchasing the card. And so again, just being knowledgeable about this and using little easy methods like this is a good way to get ahead and make sure you're not paying so much for Magic the Gathering. Again, that was the goal of this channel. That's the goal of everything I do on most of my channels, is to make it so that you can hopefully not, there are those people that are just paying up the wazoo for Magic. I always scratch my head when people come into my store. I love these customers because they subsidize all of us that is coming in crack packs and then trading cards for 50% that they don't want, and they just, they don't seem to care about the value of money and trade value and stuff like that. But let them live life recklessly. The rest of you, I think you can eke out, especially if there's not many people like this at your local game store, that you have the trade binder that everyone wants. Just be careful not to step on your toes at game stores. One of the big no-nos, of course, is selling at a game store. Oftentimes that is frowned upon because, of course, they're providing the overhead and the space and stuff, so don't tread on their market. But oftentimes you can actually find stores that don't even care, that don't even have singles. And it's just, I've always just scratched my head at those particular stores, because one of the best profit margins here at our store is definitely the buying and selling of singles. And we hope you enjoyed this video, a little bit of my thought process. I'll try to get back to doing Market Mondays a little more consistently. And if you are a fan of this sort of looking at cards and my reasoning, definitely go and check out the Rogue Market channel. I'm going to try to revive that series of the Daily Delve, where I'm going to pick a card, give my reasoning why I think it will go up, and we'll track them in a few months to see how well I did. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been Kevin with, where am I at? Rogue Deck Builder? Thanks for watching.